では始めましょうかね。時間が参りましたので、皆様お待たせいたしました。それでは、ただいまからフォーリンプレスセンターのオンラインプレスブリーフィングを開始いたします。私は本日司会を務めます、フォーリンプレスセンター理事長の児玉です。
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for waiting. We now commence the online press briefing by Foreign Press Center of Japan. I am Kodama, president of this center, and I'll be serving as the MC today.
去る5月に開催されました G7 広島サミットでは、平和記念資料館の視察や被爆者との対話、さらには原爆死没者慰霊碑への献花など、G7 の指導者全員が被爆の実相に触れて、その映像が世界中に配信されるなど、核兵器のない世界に向けた機運を高めることができたと思います。唯一の戦争被爆国である日本は、この機会を捉えて、世界の核軍縮、不拡散に向けた機運をさらに高めるべく、どのようにメッセージを送っていくべきでしょうか。
At the G7 Hiroshima summit held in May this year, the G7 leaders encountered the realities of the atomic bombing, visiting the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum, speaking with atomic bomb survivors, hibakshas, and presenting flowers at the cenotaph for the victims of the atomic bomb. With the video images of this released around the world, the momentum towards a world without nuclear weapons has increased. As the only country to have been A-bombed during a war, how should Japan seize this opportunity to send a message to further increase momentum toward global nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation initiatives?
本日は被爆地の首長として、また世界約8000都市で作る平和首長会議会長として、長年、核兵器のない平和な世界の実現に向けて尽力をされてこられた松井一実広島市長をお招きし、G7 広島サミットの意義や今年の平和記念式典で世界に伝えたいメッセージなどについてお話をいただきます。
As the mayor of a city devastated by an atomic bomb and as president of Mayors for Peace, which has approximately 8,000 member cities worldwide, Mr. Kazumi Matsui, the mayor of Hiroshima, has worked for years towards bringing about a peaceful world without nuclear weapons. We have invited him today to discuss the significance of the G7 Hiroshima summit and the message he would like to send to the world at this year's Peace Memorial Ceremony.
はじめに市長から通訳の時間も含めて30分程度お話をいただきます。残りの時間を質疑等に当てます。なお、この後の市長のご予定の関係で、ブリーフィングはどんなに伸びても3時ちょうどで終了とさせていただきます。それから質問は外国メディアの方からもお受けしますが、もちろん今日ご参加の大使館の関係者の方もご質問が終わりでしたら、遠慮なくご質問をしてください。質問がある方は、パソコンの画面下の Q&A から質問を書き込んでいただくか、手を挙げるボタンを押して合図をしてください。書き込みはですね、ブリーフィングの間、いつでも可能ですから、むしろそうしていただくことの方が、私としては進行上、大変ありがたいことでございます。
This online press briefing, in the beginning, Mayor Matsui will speak for about half an hour, including the consecutive interpretation. Remainder will be devoted to the discussion Q&A. Incidentally, because of Mayor Matsui's schedule, this briefing has to end at the latest at 3 o'clock sharp. The questions, of course, we will accept questions from the foreign media, but for those people who are present in this press briefing from embassies, for example, if you have a question, please do not hesitate to raise them. If you want to ask a question, please enter your question in writing using a Q&A button, which is in the lower half of the screen of your PC, or you can send me the signal by using the raise hand button. The entry of your question into Q&A section can be done anytime after the briefing starts. And your entry of a question to Q&A box would be appreciated because it is more convenient for the operation of this press briefing.
最後になりましたけれども、本日のブリーフィングの資料は、英文資料をダウンロードできる URL を1時間ほど前に皆様のメールアドレスにお送りしております。資料をお持ちでない方は、画面下の Q&A 欄に書き込みをお願いします。資料のリンクを記載いたします。なお、本日の通訳者は、株式会社サムインターナショナルの永井真理子さんです。それでは、松井市長、よろしくお願いいたします。
Incidentally, about an hour ago, we have sent you the URL, the link, from which you can download the English materials used during this press briefing to your mail addresses. If you have not received them, you don't have the material, please indicate so on the Q&A box in the lower part of the screen and describe that you do not have the material. I will describe the link for the material. Today's interpreter is Mariko Nagai of Simul International. Now, Mayor Matsui, floor is yours.
はい。皆様、こんにちは。広島市長の松井和美です。これから本市の平和への取り組みについてのお話をさせていただきます。
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am Matsui Kazumi, Mayor of Hiroshima City. Now, in this briefing, I'd like to talk about and explain Hiroshima City's initiatives for peace.
皆様には1945年8月6日の原子爆弾投下による惨禍を乗り越え、現在、広島がどのような取り組みをしているか、ぜひ母国で伝えていただきたいと思います。それでは説明に入ります。
I strongly hope that you will convey what you hear in the press briefing today to the people in your own countries, describing how Hiroshima City is overcoming atrocities caused by the dropping of a bomb on the 6th of August 1945, and how Hiroshima is operating its initiatives. Let me explain.
まず本市の復興を語る上で非常に重要な役割を果たした広島平和記念都市建設法について説明いたします。
First of all, I would like to explain the Peace Memorial City Construction Law, which played an important role in talking about the reconstruction of this city.
原爆投下により廃墟と化した広島市の復興に対しては、原爆投下の4年後に制定された広島平和記念都市建設法に基づく国からの特別な援助がありました。この法律により、本市は恒久平和を象徴する平和記念都市となることを目指しており、市長は平和記念都市を完成させるため、不断の活動をすることを義務付けられています。本市はこうした背景のもと、理想とする都市像として、国際平和文化都市を掲げ、その実現に向けてまちづくりを進めています。
On the challenge of reconstructing the city of Hiroshima, which turned into complete ruins because of the atomic bomb dropping, the law enacted 4 years after the dropping of the A-bomb, which is called Peace Memorial City Construction Law in 1945, gave a special assistance from the central government for the reconstruction to the city of Hiroshima. Also, because of this law, this city is now statutorily aiming at becoming the Peace Memorial City, which would symbolize the permanent peace, lasting peace for the city. And the mayor is obligated to continue to make activities in order to complete the building of International Peace Culture City. And against this backdrop, the Hiroshima is striving forward for the realization of the aim of wanting to become the International Peace Culture City.
ここから本誌の具体的な平和施策を大きく3つに分類して紹介していきます。
From this point onward, I would like to explain our peace-related measures, dividing them into three major categories.
1つ目が核兵器廃絶を目指した取り組みの推進を図る施策であり、迎える平和の推進や平和首長会議の活動などに力を入れています。2つ目が平和意識の醸成を図る施策であり、平和文化を振興するため、平和文化月間の開催などに取り組んでいます。3つ目が被爆体験の継承・伝承を図る施策であり、平和記念資料館の運営や被爆建物・樹木の保存などを推進しています。
The first category is to promote the initiatives for the abolition of nuclear weapons. To this end, we will be promoting peace through welcoming visitors, and also we will promote the activities of the Mayor's Conference for Peace. The second category is to raise awareness of peace. To this end, in order to promote peace culture, we are holding the Culture of Peace Month. The third category is to convey the realities of the atomic bombing to future generations. We will operate and manage a peace memorial museum, as well as the preservation of the atomic bombed buildings and trees.
まず核兵器廃絶を目指した取り組みの推進の一つであります、迎える平和の推進について説明をいたします。
First, I would like to explain how we promote peace through welcoming visitors.
各保有国の為政者をはじめ、より多くの人々に広島に来てもらい、被爆の実相に触れ、被爆者の思いを深く受け止めた上で、核兵器廃絶に向けた取り組みを進めていただくことが重要であることから、世界の為政者の被爆地訪問やさまざまな国際会議の誘致に取り組んでいます。
As we regard, it is very important to have government leaders and officials of nuclear nations to come to Hiroshima, to come in touch with the realities of the bombing, as well as accepting the thought of hibakshas, and to promote the operations toward the abolition of nuclear weapons. We are working on inviting world's leaders and officials of various governments to visit the site of the bombing, as well as soliciting various international conferences.
その結果として2014年 NPTI 軍縮不拡散イニシアチブ外相会合に続き、2016年には G7 外相会合、2017年には国連軍縮会議などの本誌開催が実現し、各国政府の要人や国際機関の関係者など、2011年度から2022年度までの13年間で156件の訪問がありました。とりわけ2016年5月のオバマ元米国大統領と2019年11月のローマ教皇の本州訪問では、被爆地から力強い平和のメッセージを発信していただき、世界的に大きな影響力がありました。
The results of our such efforts were, for example, in 2014, we were able to have the Foreign Ministerial Meeting for the Non-Proliferation and Disarmament Initiatives, NPDI. In 2016, we had a G7 Foreign Ministerial Conference. 2017, we had the United Nations Conference on Disarmament. It was held in our city. From fiscal 2011 to 2022, during 13 years, there were 156 visits of various countries, VIPs, as well as the people related with international organizations. In particular, we are aware that there was a very big influence exerted by the visit of President Obama of the United States in May of 26 of the United States, as well as Pope Francis' visit to Hiroshima in November of 2019. They were able to communicate a very strong message for peace from the actual site of a bombing.
そしてこれまでの迎える平和の取り組みの中で最高レベルの国際会議となった G7 広島サミットでは、参加された核保有4カ国を含む G7 各国など、および8つの招待国の首脳、国連など6つの国際機関の長、さらにはウクライナのゼレンスキー大統領などの皆さんによる平和記念資料館の視察や被爆者との対話が実現し、芳名録には核兵器のない平和な世界への願いを込めたメッセージを残されました。
The highest level of the solicitation of government leaders and officials would be the G7 Hiroshima Summit. Amongst all the programs and initiatives that we were having through welcoming visitors. The participants to G7 Hiroshima Summit included the leaders of G7 nations, including 4 nuclear nations, as well as 8 invited countries, the leaders from there, as well as from the 6 international organizations, including the United Nations. We have the leaders of such organizations. In addition, we had the visit of President Zelensky of Ukraine, and they all visited the Peace Memorial Museum. And to the visitors' guest book, they wrote a very sincere message wanting and praying for peace.
また各国首脳の原爆死没者慰霊碑への参拝献花の際には、私から直接自分の説明を行う機会をいただき、その説明の中で被爆者の皆様は、過去の悲しみに耐え、憎しみを乗り越えて、こんな思いを他の誰にもさせてはならないとの思いで、全人類の共存や繁栄を願っており、これがまさに広島の心であるということを説明しました。
Also, on the occasion of presenting a wreath at the cenotaph for the memorial of the victims of the A-bomb, I was able to explain what is written on the inscription, as well as the conversation and talks with the hibakshas, survivors. They all said how people overcame the hatred and how they have relinquished their vengeance about their atrocities, and how strongly they wished for coexistence and prosperity of the mankind in general. That was at the heart of Hiroshima. As such, I explained to the leaders.
本市としては G7 サミットの開催地として、さらに高まった知名度も生かしつつ、今後より一層多くの人々に広島を訪問してもらえるよう、引き続き迎える平和の取り組みを推進していきたいと考えています。
The city of Hiroshima is convinced that we should be capitalizing on the better name recognition because of the G7 Hiroshima Summit. We should make more people to visit the Hiroshima so that we can promote our operations and programs, initiatives of peace through welcoming visitors.
次に平和首長会議の取り組みを紹介します。
Next, I'd like to talk about the Mayor's Conference for Peace.
1982年に設立された平和首長会議は、当時の荒木市長が国連において被爆者の思いを根底に据え、国や民族、宗教、思想を超え、都市相互の緊密な連帯を通じて、核兵器廃絶の市民意識を国際的な規模で喚起する取り組みなどを推進し、世界恒久平和の実現に寄与することを呼びかけたところから始まった超党派の組織で、9年後の1990年には国連の経済社会理事会の NGO に登録されました。
The Mayors for Peace was established in 1982 when Mayor Araki, mayor at that time, delivered a speech in the United Nations and calling for the creation of this organization, which is a non-partisan organization. His wish, his thought was that we should place the thoughts of Hibakshas and survivors at the very foundation of this organization, so that we can transcend countries, ethnic groups, religions, or ideologies and thoughts, and we will unite very closely through close solidarities mutually amongst cities, so that we can raise the citizens' awareness for the abolition of the nuclear weapons on a global scale. We will promote such operations so that we can make contribution to the realization of lasting peace for the world. So, and 9 years afterwards, in 1991, this organization, Mayors for Peace, was registered officially as NGO of the ECOSOC, Economic and Social Council of the United Nations.
今年の7月1日現在、166カ国地域の8265の都市が加盟する国際的な平和都市のネットワークになっており、会長広島市長が、副会長長崎市長がはじめ、そして11の市長が務めております。
As of the 1st of July this year, the members are the 8,265 cities of 166 countries and regions. It is indeed an international peace cities network. President of this conference is served by Hiroshima mayor, and vice presidents are done by mayors of 11 cities, including the city of Nagasaki.
こちらが7月1日現在の平和首長会議加盟都市の世界分布図であります。
This is a world map showing Mayors for Peace and member cities.
加盟都市数の多い上位10カ国とその都市数を示しています。日本の加盟都市が最も多く、次いでイランやドイツ、イタリアに多くの加盟都市があります。核保有国であるアメリカにも225の加盟都市があり、その他のロシアや中国などの核保有国にも賛同する加盟都市は多くあります。
So this is the map of as of July this year. This map shows top 10 countries which have a greater number of member cities to this network. Of course, we have most numerous member cities from Japan, which is followed by Iran, Germany, Italy, and many other member cities. The nuclear nation, which is the United States, has as many as 225 member cities. Other than the United States cities, we have many member cities in the nuclear nations such as Russia and China.
世界平和首長会議の最終目標は世界恒久平和であります。
The ultimate objective of a Mayor for Peace is lasting world peace.
2021年7月には新たな活動指針として持続可能な世界に向けた平和的な変革のためのビジョン、略称 PX ビジョンを策定し、これまで目標に掲げ活動を続けてきた核兵器のない世界の実現と安全で活力のある都市の実現という2つの目標を下支えする3つ目の目標として平和文化の振興を新たに掲げました。
In July 2021, a new vision was formulated as a guidepost for the new activities, which is a vision for the peaceful transformation for the sustainable world, PX vision for short. Then we, in addition to the two objectives that we had held, realize a world without nuclear powers and realize safe and resilient cities. In order to support these two already established objectives, we added a new objective of promoting the culture of peace as the third objective.
核兵器廃絶に向けた為政者の政策転換を促す環境や人類の共存に向けて連帯する市民社会を作るために、より根源的に重要なことは、市民一人一人が日常生活の中で平和について考え行動する平和文化を市民社会に根付かせていくことであり、そのための環境づくりは、市民に最も身近な存在である自治体の首長により構成される平和首長会議が果たすべき重要な役割であると考えております。
If we want to create an environment which would encourage a policy conversion by the policymakers looking toward the abolition of nuclear weapons, and to create a civil society which would be united, looking toward the coexistence of mankind, what is very radically and fundamentally important is to have the culture of peace taking firm root into the base of the civil society, where citizens would be thinking by himself or herself and act actually for the peace in their daily activities. Every citizen must be able to act on that thinking. To that end, we have to create an environment, and that environment building would be best done by the leaders of the municipalities, which are very close to the daily lives of the citizens. So the Mayor for Peace is going to play an important part in this regard.
続いて平和宣言について説明をいたします。
Next, I would like to talk about the Declaration on Peace.
平和宣言は被爆から2年後の1947年8月6日に開催された第1回平和祭において、当時の市長、浜井市長により初めて読み上げられました。
The peace declaration was first read out by the mayor at that time, Mayor Hamai, at the first peace memorial ceremony, which was held on the 6th of August 1947, that is 2 years after the bombing.
以来、歴代の広島市長が平和宣言を行ってきていますが、私自身は市長に就任した2011年以来、世界の為政者とそれを選出する市民社会に対し、こんな思いを他の誰にもさせてはならないという被爆者の思いをしっかりと伝えることを主眼に置きつつ、核兵器廃絶と世界航空平和の実現に取り組むために必要となる行動理念を提示してきました。
Since then, the mayors of generations have read out the peace declaration as a mayor of Hiroshima. I assumed the post of mayorship in 2011. Since then, I have always carried the message and read out this declaration, where the main points would be to convey the thoughts of hibakshas, which says that this kind of experience should never be done or repeated by anybody else to the civil society, because the world's leaders would be elected by the civil society. So to the leaders as well as to the civil societies, we have to tell the thoughts of hibakusha, as I said, very firmly, so that I have shown the principles on action which is needed for the realization of the world's lasting peace, as well as the abolition of nuclear weapons.
被爆から約78年が経過して、自らの被爆体験を語り、核兵器の非人道性や平和の尊さを訴えることのできる被爆者が年々少なくなる中で、その体験と核兵器をひとたび使用すれば、人類の破滅と文明の終末を意味するという真実を世界の人々に訴え、核兵器のない真に平和な世界の実現という目標を共有してもらうため、平和宣言を発し続けなければならないと考えています。
Now, 78 years have elapsed since the A bombing, and there are less and less people who can talk directly about their own experiences, atomic bombs, to talk about the inhumanity of nuclear weapons, as well as the preciousness of peace. There are less and less survivors who can talk about their experiences. So we have to tell people of the world that once the nuclear weapons is used, then it means the total destruction of the mankind as well as the end of civilization. This is the cold truth which has to be appealed to the people of the world, so that people can share in the objective of realizing the lasting, truly peaceful world without nuclear weapons. To that end, I believe that I have to continue communicating and presenting the peace declaration.
続いて2つ目の施策である平和意識の醸成について、まず平和首長会議が掲げる目標の一つにもなっている平和文化を振興する意義を説明します。
Next, I'd like to talk about the second category, which is to raise awareness of peace. One of the objectives of Mayor for Peace is to have the culture of peace. I'd like to explain what is meant by that.
戦争を仕掛ける国や核兵器を持っている国があるという現実において、国の安全保障をめぐっては戦争を回避するために、また核兵器をこれ以上増やさないためには、威嚇により戦争を仕掛ける動機づけをさせないことが現実的なあり方だという考え方が勢いを増しております。
In the reality where there are countries that try to engineer wars and have nuclear weapons on the question of national security, that more realistic way to avoid wars and not to increase nuclear weapons more than the present level is not to motivate people to instigate or engineer wars by intimidation or coercion.And there is a growing momentum in that thought.
この中で集団などにおいて抑止力というものを信ずることができるでしょうか。
In this context, can we really believe in the power of deterrence?
狂気は個人にあっては稀有なことである。しかし集団、党派、民族、時代にあっては通例であるといった言葉、これフリードリッヒ・ニーチェの言葉ですけども、こういったことがあります。
Friedrich Nietzsche once said that madness is rather rare in the case of individuals. However, when it is with groups or factions or parties or ethnic groupings and people, then it is rather a matter of natural course that madness is shared.
したがって抑止力は信ずるべきではない。そして戦争をすべきでなく、また核兵器はなくすべきであるという理想を追求するためには戦争しないと宣言する、または核兵器は絶対悪であり廃絶を目指すといったことが理想的なあり方になるのではないでしょうか。
So if you follow Nietzsche's saying, we cannot place our confidence in the power of deterrence. We should be saying that wars shouldn't happen and we must abolish nuclear weapons. We must always talk about such ideals tenaciously. We must pursue the realization of peace. We must pursue realization of a world where we don't make any wars and nuclear weapons are of the absolute evil and therefore it has to be eliminated. We must always talk about and pursue such ideals.
現下の危険的な世界状況の中にあって、犠牲者を支持する側の市民社会に平和文化を根付かせ、理想を市民社会の共通の価値観にしていくことができれば、戦争を仕掛けるような為政者ではなく、戦争を回避し、なくしていくための努力をする為政者が選ばれるようになり、その為政者は当然理想的なあり方を追求することになると考えられます。こうした考え方はますます重要になっております。
In the world which is in a very critical juncture, we must work so that to the civil societies select leaders and the people in the government. And therefore, we must work to the civil society where culture of peace is firmly rooted and they should have the common value orientations to pursue ideals as civil societies. If we can do that, then we will have leaders and policymakers not trying to instigate or engineer wars, but rather to avoid wars and to eliminate wars, that we will have a situation where such leaders would be elected, such leaders making efforts to that direction would be elected, and the leaders enjoying the support of such civil societies will work for the pursuit of ideal situation of their statecraft. So this kind of thinking is becoming more and more important these days.
次に平和文化を広く市民社会に根付かせるための環境づくりとして広島市が具体的にどのような取り組みを行っているかについて、平和文化月間の取り組みを例に説明いたします。
Next, as an effort to create an environment where the culture of peace is firmly rooted in the civil society in Hiroshima, what are the concrete initiatives that Hiroshima is pursuing? I'd like to take an example of Culture of Peace Month.
本市では2021年から毎年11月を平和文化月間と定め、民間企業や市民団体等の協力を得て、平和文化をテーマにしたさまざまなイベントを同期間中に集中的に実施しております。
Hiroshima City designated the month of November as a Culture of Peace Month, during which a variety of peace-related events are held, having the cooperation of private companies as well as civil societies.
本市は平和首長会議の会長都市としてこうした取り組みを先行事例として世界の加盟都市に示すことで、市民が主体となって考え行動できる取り組みを世界中に普及させていきたいと考えています。
As we maintain the presidency of the Mayor for Peace, we would like to present such initiatives as best practices as a city for peace. We can show them to the member cities of the world where citizens are acting on their own. They take on their own initiative and act, and we would like to penetrate and diffuse such activities of citizenship in the whole world.
次に3つ目の施策として、被爆体験の継承・伝承に関わる取り組みを説明します。まず平和に関する発信力のさらなる強化についての取り組みです。
Next, I'd like to talk about the third category, which is the reality of the atomic bombing to future generations. I would like to explain how we can strengthen our communicating power regarding peace.
平和記念資料館に関しましては、コンピュータグラフィックを活用した展示や、被爆者の遺品、そして被爆の惨状を示す写真など、実物資料を中心とした展示へリニューアルすることで、1945年8月6日に広島で何が起こったかについてより理解を促す内容としております。
We have renovated the exhibits at Peace Memorial Museum. We now use more computer graphics so that visitors can see through the remains and the remnants of hibakshas and other exhibits the true atrocities of the bombing. So we have the exhibits of real materials so that people can fully appreciate what actually happened in Hiroshima on the 6th of August 1945.
また、平和記念公園内に被爆遺構を露出展示する被爆遺構展示館を2022年3月に開館いたしました。こうした取り組みを通じて平和に関する発信力を強化していきます。
Also, on the premise of a Peace Memorial Park, in March of 2022, we have built exhibition facility for A-bomb remnants, which really exhibit and present the actual buildings and structures bombed in August 1945. Through such efforts, we are trying to strengthen our communication capability regarding peace.
次に被爆建物や被爆樹木の保存の取り組みについて説明いたします。
Next, I'd like to talk about the A-bomb, the buildings and trees.
被爆建物は爆心地から5km以内で被爆し、現存する建物であり、現在、公共所有22件、民間所有64件、計86件が登録されています。 また被爆樹木は爆心地からおおむね2キロ以内で被爆し現存する樹木で現在160本が登録されています。
The bombed buildings must be the buildings which were bombed within a 5-kilometer radius from the hypocenter, and then the buildings must be standing even today. Under such criteria, we have 22 such buildings in the public ownership and 64 buildings in the ownership of private entities. Altogether, 86 buildings are registered. In the case of bombed trees, they are the trees bombed within 2 kilometers from the hypocenter. They must be standing even today. As of now, 160 trees are registered as such.
続いて被爆体験伝承者養成事業についてお伝えいたします。
Next, I'd like to talk about training of official A-bomb legacy successors.
2012年度から被爆体験伝承者の養成を始めました。
Since 2012, we have begun the nurturing of the A-bomb legacy successors.
被爆の実装の学習など2年間の研修課程を経て被爆体験伝承者を養成しており、研修を終えた伝承者は現在平和記念資料館等で講話を行っています。
They go through 2 years of training, such as learning the realities of the bombing. We are nurturing such successors, and once they complete the trainings, they are giving presentations and lectures at Peace Memorial Museum and other places.
さらに2022年度から幅広い被爆体験を伝承するため、家族である被爆者から被爆体験を受け継ぎ伝承する家族伝承者を新たに養成してきています。
From fiscal 2022, we began a new program called the Hibakusha Family Member Legacy Successors. This is to inherit and convey wider variety of Hibakusha's experiences by members of their families.
この事業により、被爆の実相を風化させず、より多くの人に核兵器廃絶への思いを共有してもらうことができると考えています。
With this initiative, we believe that we will not be weathering the memories of the bombing, the actual bombing, so that many people will be able to share their thoughts for the abolition of nuclear weapons.
最後に、改めて平和記念公園内の原爆死没者慰霊碑の碑文についてのお話をいたします。
Lastly, I would like to talk about the inscription on the cenotaph at the Peace Memorial Park.
碑文には安らかに眠ってください。過ちは繰り返しませぬからと刻まれておりますが、これはすべての人が原爆犠牲者の冥福を祈り、戦争という過ちを再び繰り返さないことを誓う言葉であり、過去の悲しみに耐えて、憎しみを乗り越えて、全人類の共存と繁栄を願い、真の世界平和の実現を記念する広島の心が刻まれているものであります。
The inscription reads, "Let all the souls here rest in peace, for we shall not repeat the evil." The thought behind this inscription is that all people will pray for the repose of Hibakusha's souls, and pledge not to repeat the evil, which is wars. The people Hibakushas will endure the sorrows of the past, and people will overcome the hatred of the past, and they will pray for the coexistence and prosperity of all mankind, and praying for the true lasting world peace. This is indeed the heart of Hiroshima. The heart of Hiroshima is inscribed on this cenotaph.
またこんな思いを他の誰にもさせてはならないという被爆者の訴えに対して、慰霊碑の前に立つ人がそれぞれの立場で原爆死没者に誓うべき答えであります。国籍、民族、加害者、被害者などの違いを超えて、戦争や核兵器の使用という過ちを繰り返さずに、暴力ではなく対話と信頼によって明るい未来を切り開いていくことを誓うという言葉でもあります。
And also, this inscription is an answer to the appeal which is made by the survivors or hibakshas, saying that this kind of thought should never be experienced by any other. Such sad and the tragic thing should never be shared by any others. So this is an answer to the appeal from survivors. So people may come from different positions. They may differ in nationalities, ethnic groupings, assailants, or victims, irrespective of those differences. This inscription is the answer to the appeal by the hibakusha. So we shall not repeat the evil of the utilization of wars or nuclear weapons, and not resorting to violence, but resorting to a dialogue and trust. We shall explore brighter future. This is the word of pledge.
本誌は被爆体験を原点に、憎しみを乗り越えて、全世界の平和を願う広島の心を国内外の多くの人々と共有し、市民社会の共通の価値観としてもらうことが重要になると考えております。そのために、世界の市民社会の連帯をさらに広げ、国際世論の情勢拡大に向けた取り組みを推進してまいります。ご清聴ありがとうございました。
The very foundation of our city is the experience of a bomb. So that is the cardinal point from which we will overcome the hatred of the past, and we will pray for the peace for the entire world. That is the heart of Hiroshima. This should be shared widely and broadly by the people in and out of Japan, so that they will turn to be the common value orientation of the global civil societies. I think it is very important to aim to have that. To that end, we must broaden the ring of solidarity of the civil societies of the world and promote our initiatives toward raising and expanding international public opinions. We will work to that end even further, stepping up our efforts. Thank you very much for your attention.
松井市長、ありがとうございました。核廃絶と、それなら世界の平和を実現するための広島市の平和イニシアチブの内容についてですね、非常に分かりやすく明確に示していただきました。本当にありがとうございました。
Mayor Matsui, thank you very much for your presentation, talking very elaborately about how we move toward the elimination of the nuclear weapons, as well as building the lasting peace for the whole world. You talked about your peace initiative in Hiroshima. Thank you very much.
それでは、残された時間10分少々ですけれども、大変ありがたい貴重な時間ですので、市長に対する質疑応答のセッションをこれから始めさせていただきます。
Now, remainder of the time available is about 10 minutes, very precious time, so we will use it for Q&A.
ぜひ、ご参加の皆さんから質問をお願いしたいと思いますが、冒頭私から、一問、司会者の権限で、ぜひ市長にお伺いしたいことがございますので、質問させていただきます。
So I urge all of you present in this briefing to ask a question, but I'd like to ask one question using the prerogative of the moderator and ask one question.
はい、市長は今日のお話の中でですね、核抑止力について、ニーチェの言葉も引用されて、私が理解したところでは、国家間の戦争を抑止するために、抑止力ということに頼ってはいけないんだという主張の信念を吐露されたと思います。そして、ではどうするかということで、シビルソサエティ、市民社会の間にある平和価値、あるいは核廃絶に向けたその価値、それを文化として、その市民社会の力を得て、政治を動かしていくという、そういう、プロセスをお示しいただいたというふうに理解しました。
Now, in your presentation, Mayor Matsui, you said that we shouldn't place our confidence too much on the power of deterrence. You even quoted the words by Nietzsche. So, in order to attain peace, not depending upon the deterrence between states, but I think that was what you pointed out. Now then, what can we do if we cannot depend upon deterrence? In your presentation, you said that we can resort to the power of civil societies. We can create culture for the peace as well as the elimination of the the nuclear bombs. And utilizing such civil society's power, we can move politics, we can move policymakers and world leaders. And that is the process that you are advocating.
そこですいません、質問ですが、広島サミットで、首脳広島ビジョン、核軍縮広島ビジョンが出て、報道をしっかりされました。その中で、やはりその一方で G7 首脳は、米、仏、英を含む核保有国の首脳は、まさに核抑止力というのは現実の問題として戦争抑止効果があるということを触れつつ、しかし我々は核廃絶のコミットメントは変えないというふうに言われて、折衷的な表現になったと。このことを率直に今回ホストをされたお一人である市長はどういうふうに受け止められたのか、あるいはまさに今回のさらに大きく言えばこの広島サミットは今後のその広島の核なき平和に向けた取り組みの中でどういう役割を果たしたというふうに市長は今市長はどういうふうに評価されているのか、市長の率直なご意見をお聞かせください。
So here comes my question. At the G7 summit in Hiroshima, the leaders said that they have announced the vision for abolishing nuclear weapons. And at the same time, G7 includes the US, France, UK. They are the nuclear nations. So they are preserving and they are presenting their deterrence power for the world affairs. However, nevertheless, they will not deviate from the abolition of the nuclear weapons. So in a way, it is a compromise between the deterrence and the abolition of the nuclear weapons. So as the host city of G7, how do you view this situation, and what is your thought about your Hiroshima's role, which was played in the G7 summit in Hiroshima, trying to attain the peace without nuclear weapons?
広島ビジョンにおける核抑止力に関してのコメントはですね、現に核兵器が存在する限りにおいて、自分たちの取っているいわゆる防衛政策はですね、核兵器をですね、いわゆる戦争防止するためとかですね、言ったように使うべきだと。ある限りにおいては、抑止的に使うべきだというコメントを出しておりました。べきだということを論ずる範囲において、まずですね、現実にそうなってないということを認知しているというふうに私は思いました。そしてこの、
In the Hiroshima vision, the G7 leaders made a comment that as far as nuclear weapons do exist in the current world, as long as to the extent that they are used for the defense of the countries or for the elimination, for the preventing the utilization of nuclear weapons, as long as they are used in a deterrent way, that is the comment that they have made. So it means that the nuclear weapons should be used in this way, this and that. And the should is meant to be that leaders are aware that the world is not existing in that way. So it's not in the ideal way. That is why the leaders are saying that weapons should be used in this way, in a deterrent way.
そしてもう一つ、この G7 の合意したメンバー、3カ国核兵器を持っている国が入っておりました。しかし世界には9カ国核兵器を持っていると言われていますし、このビジョンには現にこの会議に参加したインドも参加しておりません。そういった中で、この3カ国だけがですね、いわば取り決めをしたからといって、他国がどうなるかわからないということでですね、もう一つの核兵器をなくしていくという考え方、コミットしているという中にですね、すべてのもののですね、安全を損なわない限りにおいてという条件をつけて発言しています。ほとんどさようにですね、理想は持っているけれども、現実の世界の中で自分たちが しっかりした対応を踏み出せない状況をですね、いわば説明している。そんなものがこの平和ビジョンじゃないかと受け止めました。そこで、そこまで問題が、
そこでちょっとすいません、通訳の方。
My reading of the peace vision is that G7 members do include 3 nuclear nations. However, in the whole world, there are said to be 9 countries which possess nuclear weapons. Now, India, which came to the meeting as an invited country, is not a part of this G7 peace vision. So even if there is an agreement amongst the 3 countries, what about other countries? So in the commitment of trying to abolish nuclear weapons, there is a phrase used in the vision that to the extent that the safety of all others is not jeopardized. So you see, in this vision, people are aware that there is an ideal. However, there is a different reality. And the current situation is such that the G7 leaders cannot really make one step forward to come closer to the ideal.
ですから、現実を認め、理想もしっかり認めている。しかし、具体的な打つ手が述べられないという皆様ですから、今日言いましたように、核抑止力に頼るということをやめて、まずは確実に核軍縮を進め、最終の目標である核兵器のない世界に向けて、具体的な提案なり話し合いをですね、このグループからまだ敵対関係にある、あるいは疑いを持っている国々がありますけれども、そういったところに手を差し伸べて話し合いをしていくということをやっていただきたいと思うんですね。そういったことをやることをですね、市民社会、アメリカにも我が平和首長会議のメンバーとしてあります。そういったところは支援してまいります。そういった支援する国民、市民をたくさん作っていきますから、その理想に向けた対応をしていただきたい。こんなふうな考え方をしております。
So you see, the G7 leaders have acknowledged the reality as well as the importance of having an ideal. However, they were not able to come up with concrete means to achieve that. So what I want to say is that we should not be depending upon the power of deterrence. So first of all, we must in the process of disarmament, as well as eventually reaching the abolition of the nuclear weapons, I think that G7 should be the group to commence efforts. There are countries which are opposed to such an ideal, so G7 should reach out and present their hands so that those opposing countries could come closer. And then there are civil societies. Even in the United States, there are member cities of Mayors for Peace. So the civil societies will support such government leaders' action to come closer to the abolition of nuclear weapons. So I hope that the G7 will take initiative so that we will come even closer to the ideal. People, citizens will support it.
ありがとうございます、市長。それではですね、事前に非常に具体的な質問なんですけれども、タスニューズエージェンシーのディミトリー・ベンジェルスキー記者から、英語で次の質問をもらっておりますので、読み上げます。Will you invite Russian officials to Hiroshima this year?
There is a concrete question raised by Mr. Dmitry Vengersky of TASS News Agency. The question came in English, so I will read in Japanese. 今年ロシア政府関係者を広島に招待されるご予定はありますか？
これに関しましては、ウクライナの侵攻が続いておりますので、去年と同様、今年についても、両国への式典の案内状を発出することは見送ることにいたしました。しかしながら、各国指導者に広島訪問を促すことは、とても重要なことでありまして、両国の駐日大使には、今年の平和記念式典の招待は見送るものの、近い将来、広島において、被爆の実相に直接触れていただく日が来ることを切望していると、旨はお伝えしたところであります。
As far as Russian aggression to Ukraine is continuing, just like last year, we shall not be issuing our invitation to both countries. However, having VIPs come to visiting Hiroshima is very important. So to the embassies of both nations, we have presented our note saying that we are ardently hoping the leaders eventually to visit Hiroshima.
ありがとうございました。もっと質問と思いましたけれども、時間ももう2時59分とありまして、約束の3時にほぼなりました。改めまして、松井市長、本日はこのような形での、記者ブリーフィングを行っていただいて、本当にありがとうございました。
Well, I'm sure that there are more questions to be asked. However, time is 2:59, approaching 3 o'clock that we promised. So, Mayor Matsui, thank you very much for your appearance, sharing your very precious time for us.
こちらこそありがとうございました。こういった発言の機会を与えていただいたことに感謝申し上げます。これからもよろしくお願いいたします。
I'd like to express my gratitude. Conversely, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to explain what we stand for. Thank you very much.
以上をもちまして、本日のプレスブリーフィングを終了といたします。ご参加いただきましたメディアの方、大使館関係者、あるいは参上会員の方、誠にありがとうございました。
With this, I'd like to conclude the online press briefing. Thank you very much for the participants, people from the embassy, people from the associate members, and other people who have participated. Thank you very much.
どうも視聴ありがとうございました。失礼いたします。